Okay, everyone, hello. For some reason, the audio for this part got not recorded, so I will be recording it separately. Uh, so I kind of forget what I was doing here, but I think I was just explaining why it took me for so long to make this episode. It's just because, one, procrastination, two, actually busy, and then, three, it took me forever to get to this part. Or this point where I could actually complete the episode because this quest is really difficult. There will be two battles. First half isn't too bad, but the second one is pretty rough. So I won't go over my team yet. It'll be more prudent or relevant when I'm there. So make sure to have Rayquaza in your party, and then head over to the train station. Once we get to the train station, we want to head to Tourmaline Desert. It's just the same destination we went to before when we had to help out or saw Amaria and Titania down there. So it's just the same location. We need to head to Sigilene Cave, enter the New World portal from there, and then we will be able to finish up this quest now that we have Rayquaza. I'm not actually too sure how good Rayquaza is in the actual battle. I lean towards not really, but that's just because like the opposing teams don't really utilize Groudon and Kyogre in terms of weather, so Rayquaza, outside of being really strong, doesn't have anything else really going for it, and due to how all the fields work in this game, I think it's just better to make a team around that rather than trying to force Rayquaza into your team. Anyway, you want to take this pit here in between the two cacti and that bush in the top left. That's how you know you're in the right spot, so head down that hole, and then you'll be here, and then you just keep progressing without going down any holes, like so. Yeah, we still have this stupid Garchomp statue nonsense to deal with, but just run through with Rayquaza in your lead. I recommend doing that unless you have like some other strat in mind. I plan on just sacking or not having Rayquaza, so my strat will involve swapping it out instantly. Okay, so proceeding upwards, you just want to head to this little grassy patch area, and you find the New World Gate as usual, or as before. Head on through. You'll end up in this area again, so just head up, either left or right, doesn't matter, you end up at the same spot. Alright, head on down, get on the platform, surf over to the other gate now. Excuse me. Alright. Slide down that waterfall there, down this waterfall, and here we'll find this center island where we see Florinia. So here, this is your last chance before you can, back out of this battle and be able to change up your team. So I recommend saving right before talking to Florinia here, and then proceed. Okay, there we go. Alright, so here I'm going to also explain my team once I swap out Rayquaza. Yeah, once you show the Rayquaza, you cannot back out of the quest. And here you must change your team, so you can't back out now. Or you don't have to change your team, but you won't be able to back out whether you say yes or no. So I think, I don't know, I'm probably explaining something here. I don't have the old audio, so I'm not too sure. Probably explaining that and how isn't that useful. So here, I did change up a few things, and two legendaries are missing from here, and my strat will involve this Gigalith in place of the Rayquaza. So I'm going to swap out Rayquaza here, and now I'm going to explain my team. So first up, we have Gigalith. I initially brought it for Sandstorm, but it actually isn't really useful for that. So honestly, just having a Pokemon with Wide Guard here in place of Gigalith is the best option. So any Wide Guard Pokemon would do. And yeah, there's not much to it. I literally only use Gigalith for Wide Guard. Its Sandstorm ability is kind of useless, so honestly, there really is a more useful Pokemon here, probably. there's no point in explaining. It's just literally Wide Guard is here just for that. I recommend having a Wide Guard Pokemon for sure. So, and then we have Excadrill. The reason I thought I would need Sandstorm is for Sand Rush, but Excadrill is actually plenty fast enough for this battle, so I just have it holding a Heartstone, and it's actually one of the best Pokemon for this because it has Mold Breaker as well. I highly recommend having a Mold Breaker Pokemon, so Excadrill fits this perfectly, especially with its moveset. And of course I have a Jolly Nature, which also helps too, to not have Sand Rush. I highly recommend, once again, having Mold Breaker, and then of course just max offensive stats. And then here are its moves. We will be using everything, mainly Sword Stance and Rock Slide, to sweep, and then Iron Head and Earthquake or additional coverage and or just good moves to have, really. Next up we have Tapu Koko. Due to the second battle's disgusting terrain, I have Tapu Koko here holding a Life Orb for just enough power, along with Discharge, Dazzling Gleam, Volt Switch won't be used, Hidden Power, Grass. And it's fully special attack invested. Hopefully I show the stats soon. But its main thing is to spam Discharge along with another Pokemon on the electric terrain field. So yeah, as you can see, max investment into special attack and other offensive stats. Here I think I do debug it to give special attack 31. We have access to the cell imprints at the Zygarde area, where you should hopefully have more than enough Z cells because we've been collecting a whole bunch. And I also realize that I should I've also included Z cell or Z imprints, cell imprints, excuse me, on my Ultra Beast because you know, it's a little hard to get the specific imprints on or IVs for the Ultra Beast. So, but I did have enough at this point. I have 14, and with all the Ultra Beast and these two in mind, I have not used up all 14, so I do have access. It's just I just use debug mode instead of the imprints, that's all. Okay, I think I'm just explaining that. I'm gonna explaining more about the cell imprints here. I think at this point we have like 40-ish or 50-ish, maybe even 60 right about now, so like, you know, I just didn't make the trip over there, but I have more than enough imprints to change up multiple Pokemon IVs. At the very least, for the Ultra Beast and like any legendaries, 3 of the IVs will be perfect in terms of being 31. So realistically, for every Pokemon, it'd be 3, maybe 4 if you want to change like special attack to 0 or speed to 0 for triggering purposes. Alright, here I explain why I have Sceptile. So Sceptile has great coverage with Grass type move and also Dragon for this battle. But more importantly, when you Mega Evolve, you get Lightning Rod as his ability. So if you're on electric terrain field with Tapu Koko and using Discharge, you get special attack boost. So it's a really great strategy for doubles at least. Its hidden power is Steel. Protect is honestly useless, but everything else will be used. It's just unfortunate that Sceptile doesn't have good spread moves. Through all my research of making teams, spread moves are really actually quite rare in the games, which is interesting because doubles in the VGC is the main competitive Pokemon mode, so why there's so few doubles moves, it beats me. Alright, anyway, that's the last 4 Pokemon there will be used for the second battle. The first 2 will be for the first one. Here I have Tapu Lele holding the Magical Seed, so Magical Seed will give +2 to special attack but confuse you on the Psychic terrain field. So it's a bit of an RNG strategy, but we make do. Plus speed nature because Tapu Lele is just a tad too slow. So otherwise we have, you know, max offensive investment. And yeah, so Tapu Koko, Tapu Lele, Sceptile, and my Gardevoir, if you paid attention earlier, will be used for the second half. I, in general, recommend sticking to Psychic or Misty terrain, and honestly, and making a team around that. Yes, they have very similar movesets. I do want to get one Calm Mind off Gardevoir, and has Telepathy, so it has boosted speed on the Psychic terrain field, similar to Sand Rush, in which your speed is doubled. Still, though, we need speed invested in nature because, well, there's another Pokemon with Telepathy, so we need to outspeed it with the plus speed nature. And then we have max offensive stats as usual. So yeah, I highly recommend having Dazzling Gleam, Moonblast, and Psychic on your Psychic Terrain team. Honestly, I think Psychic Terrain is probably the best thing to bring here. Misty Terrain isn't too bad either, but I think Psychic Terrain is more useful. IMO. Actually, no, Misty Terrain boosts at Fairy Defense, so it's not bad. And Telepathy is just too good on Gardevoir. The Pixelate boost is nice, though, on the Misty Terrain, but this is what we have. So anyway, this is my team, and yeah, we're just going to go ahead. Alright, with that, let's head to the battle. Alright, and with that, we're up against Titania and Amaria here on the K field in doubles format here. So this is a 6v12. Pretty unfair circumstance, yes. Alright, so as you can see by these two here, they have a lot of spread moves, and that'll be the case for, well, all the other Pokemon too, actually. So that is why we have Gigalith with Wide Guard here. And then Excadrill to set up, basically. So Gigalith will be spamming Wide Guard, while Excadrill will be stacking with Sweet Dance here. That's pretty much it. There's not much else to it, and then these two will be hitting each other while we just really get the chance to set up. It is a bit of a shame. There could have probably been a better Pokemon to take here than Gigalith, just for Wide Guard, because the Sandstorm here doesn't really actually help me at all. Next up is Quagsire. Doesn't change my plan. This is why we have Mold Breaker, though. It's unaware. If I had Sand Rush here, would negate all my Sword Attack boosts, and Rock Slide is a weak move against Quagsire. So that's why we need Mold Breaker on Excadrill. Thankfully, Excadrill can still outspeed, even without Sand Rush. So, yeah, we just keep White Guarding, because if it misses, we're in a really bad state, so we just keep spamming it. Even if Excadrill can go first and hit everything with Rock Slide, it can still miss. So we need that extra safety in White Guard in case my Rock Slide does miss. And with that, we can sweep the other side. Heartstone, plus 6 attack boost, and boosted Rock Slide on this field is just how spam to win, basically. You see there, it missed on the Victini, so... Alright, thankfully that didn't do much. Alright, left first. If we got paralyzed there, that would have been really bad. Honestly, that would have been a reset. I don't even know if Roach Strike can paralyze, but I'm going to assume so, because all those moves are like that. Alright, here, this Gengar can prove to be an issue. Here, I'm just checking how many Pokemon are left. Technically, you can only do this through debug, but if you're just counting the Pokemon, it's the exact same thing. So against the Gengar, you actually want to use something like Earthquake or Iron Head, maybe. In my case, I went with Earthquake because I have a specific strat here on this field where I knock out these first two Pokemon I have because I don't want them for the second battle. Now then, that was a bit risky though, because I may not have that strat go off because Gengar can have its Curse Body proc on my Excadrill, and I wouldn't be able to use Earthquake twice here, so I just went for it because I did want to faint both my Pokemon here, so that's why I don't choose Wide Guard on my Gigalith. And so my Excadrill will take out everyone on this field, including itself, if I use Earthquake a second time here, which I plan to doing, because Gigalith and Excadrill will be completely useless for the second fight, and I just want to be able to go straight into my strategy without having to worry about possibly messing it up, because I want both of my Pokemon for the second half to be out on the field immediately, not having to think about, swapping out Excadrill or something like that. So anyway, that's that for that. Make sure to save in between if you can. Okay, here your Pokemon will get healed on Anomaly if they're non-fainted. So, but their PP will not be restored. Of course, there's nothing for that to apply to me here. So, hopefully none of your Pokemon fainted if you have a strat regarding that for the next half. If you're on the Lin routes, all your Pokemon will get healed, which is great. Now then, for relationship points, you will have a different battle here. So on Ana route, I'm fighting against Amaria because I have more points with Titania, and vice versa if you end up fighting Titania here on the Ana route. Because you have more points with Amaria, so you'll fight Titania and vice versa. On the Lin route, if you have more points with Titania, you'll be fighting Titania, and same thing for Titania or Amaria as well on any Lin routes. So basically, Lin routes, more points equals that's who you're fighting with. More points equals you fight the opposite of who you have more points with. So this is why this battle is pretty tough, because Amaria is way harder, in my opinion, due to her field, which we'll see later, which makes sense. And of course, it's a 6v12. In my case, on the Ana route, we don't get healed, so it's a very tough battle. So it's essentially you have 6 Pokemon versus 24 Pokemon, so you need to have a really tight strategy that relies on like sweeping, changing the field, and really trying to stack the odds in your favor because it's just really tough. So yeah, I don't think weather is particularly good, and same thing for Trick Room, especially in the case of Amaria because she has some really slow Pokemon on her side. And then weather, it doesn't give you as much power as a toad terrain. Okay, so we're up against Amaria and Kyogre here on the water surface field in doubles. So yeah, this is a separate recording because I just kept it segmented, and for some reason I freaking was on mute the whole time. Alright, so anyway, my strat here consists of Tapu Koko and Sceptile here. As I said, I want to spam Discharge, get special attack boost to my Sceptile with Lightning Rod, while my Sceptile hopefully takes out the other Pokemon my Tapu Koko cannot take out. In this battle, I recommend taking out the left side, which is Kingdra for us, because that is Amaria's Pokemon. And they have a maxed out EV, so they're much harder to take out, so it's easier to focus down one side in doubles, especially if it's the more threatening side like that. Here I go for my hidden powers because I'm trying to take advantage of the 4 times weakness that they have. So I can take out Ninetales with a Sceptile, but unfortunately just short of the Swampert here. So my Sceptile does get hit with superpower. We have to take out the Ninetales because Blizzard would take out my Sceptile. So here I have to pick between taking out Swampert and or Zapdos. I forget what I elect to do here. Discharge is obviously useless. Okay, yeah, so I go with Dazzling Gleam, I think, because I don't have enough power to take out these Zapdos under normal circumstances with just Dragon Pulse and 1 special attack boost, and Stab because it's super bulky. So, yeah, just short, so end up taking out those 2 though. The Zapdos is threatening with Tailwind, so we really want to get rid of it. The Hail kind of sucks. Alright, up next we have Toxapex and Manaphy. The Manaphy is a slight issue because it has the Elemental Seed, so it gets a speed boost here. So it will be outspeeding me here. And as you can see, it's Dazzling Gleam, which is unfortunate because my Sceptile is weak to that. So I'll still go for Discharge on my Tapu Koko, and then I go for Protect here. That's smart. Baneful Bunker, so Toxapex isn't that threatening. Get a Discharge off. Ooh, get a crit on the Manaphy, which is great. Let's see, Kyogre comes out, alright. Well, here we want to focus that Kyogre, because even though Kyogre doesn't have the max EV Pokemon, it itself is max EV'd everywhere, so we want to focus it for sure. Hopefully the Toxapex goes down to Discharge, but probably not. Yeah. Close. Get Discharge off, yep. Does it go for Baneful Bunker? No, it goes for Skull to take out my Sceptile, which is a bit sad. But luckily we get to turn back the field again with Tapu Lele by sending it in again. And we get that. So now the real question is, what do I decide to do with my Tapu Koko? I think I go for Volt Switch. Which one though? Tentacruel or Toxapex? Which one is more threatening? I think I go for... I probably go for the Toxapex because it's low. And I don't plan on using my Tapu Koko, and then probably use Psychic on the Tentacruel because it will destroy my Tapu Lele if it gets a Sludge Bomb off. I do have to deal with the confusion though, which is a bit of an issue. And we definitely want my Gardevoir to be out as soon as possible, just so I can start sweeping and, you know, just get rid of the confused chance that I'm getting right now. I'm really meandering about, thinking about what move I want to use next. We definitely have to use Psychic here. Alright, so we both switch the Tentacruel. Oh, just short. Oh, okay. I think we did that because... Oh, I thought the Toxapex would protect us up. Went for Scold and got a burn off, which is really unlucky. That residual damage would definitely stack up. So anyway, here we have my Gardevoir out. I think I can get one Calm Mind off, and then I can not feel threatened by the Toxapex, because I think it's going to go for Baneful Bunker. Yep. So I Moonblast the Kyurem, because it's really threatening. Oh, that's really bad. Okay, luckily my Tapu Lele does get knocked out because the Kyurem, I don't know, it's just weak, I guess. I don't know. That's really lucky, honestly. So we get the Calm Mind off. Tapu Lele is no longer confused. The burn really sucks. I would still have my Tapu Lele here, and it'd be really good for this battle, but it goes down. But now it seems to be just a 1v1 with my Gardevoir on this field, so it's boosted. Still has a confusion to deal with, but it has Calm Mind on top of it, so it's just really beefy right now. The Salamence is a really big pain, but Telepathy lets me outspeed it, so we just one-shot it with Moonblast. Terrain returns to normal, which really sucks. This Pokemon will outspeed me due to its water type, but Calm Mind just barely lets me live here, and I get the Moonblast off, and it can survive, and we barely win. Not gonna lie, very, very close, but I'm sure you all have an idea of what's going to come up next. So even with this strategy here, where I tried to really change the terrain to my advantage, it was still unbelievably close. I think, as I said earlier, or a whole bunch of times now, you should really stick to terrain field, especially with the Tapus. Either Psychic Terrain or Misty Terrain for this. Probably Misty Terrain due to how many Dragon-type Pokemon there are. So you get the defensive boost. I don't know if it's special defense or physical defense boost, but you definitely want special defense boost here because a lot of these Pokemon are special attackers outside of Kyurem and one other Pokemon, which I can't remember. Otherwise, yeah, if you have a good double strategy, that would be best. We want Psychic Terrain in my case. Honestly, the Tapu Koko and Sceptile weren't that great just because a lot of the Pokemon here are more weak to Dragon-type moves or Fairy-type moves than Grass or Electric-type moves, because it's just not actually that many Water types. And if there were Water types, they had other weaknesses that we could more easily take advantage of through the use of other terrains, because we can get more beneficial advantages for us. Yeah, thing is, I don't know how you're supposed to beat this fight under normal circumstances. Alright, let's see what's next. Alright, get ready to spam save here. And will I get a shiny first try? I will not. Alright. Also, as you can see though, this Kyogre is holding the blue orbs. Okay. Oh my god. This took forever. Oh my god, it's finally over. This took like a couple hours of just resetting for shiny and then throwing one Pokeball. Oh my god. Yeah, it is holding the blue orb though, as you can see when it does its primal reversion or whatever the heck that process is called. And what else? I mean, mine is shiny. You need to win this by either defeating the Kyogre or catching it like I did. Otherwise, you will have to completely redo the earlier fight, or the gauntlet, excuse me. So you have to do the 2 battles again. So it's very important you don't lose here. Okay, big Jra or whatever. Didn't it say that you, Amaria or Titania, and depending on what route you're in and whatever your relationship points look like, will heal your Pokemon here. So great. So we have one last thing to do, of course, and that's to catch the other half. So if we go up the waterfalls here and head into this other waterfall, there'll be a new road gate. Oh, there it is. Alright, I'm going to... I think if we get on the ground there, we can avoid the water surface field. Not that it really matters. Alright, I'm going to put my... I mean, it doesn't really matter. I'm going to put my Tapu Koko in. Yeah. It resists the moves, and it can change the terrain too. Save. And let's see if I get a shiny first try. This should be a lot easier because I don't have a Pokemon at 1 HP now, so I can weaken it and then hopefully catch it more easily. And it's not shiny, so I'll be right back. Whew, that took a bit. Looks like they reversed their colors. All I gotta say is the red Kyogre is definitely far more aesthetically pleasing than this. It's a very, how should I say? Kinda looks like a mess, if I'm gonna be honest. I don't know. Alright, now the real question is, what Pokemon can withstand its attacks on my team? Not much of anything, really. Because we're putting Tapu Lele. It's a physical attacker, but Sceptile is a grass type. It's gonna get hit by that Excadrill. Weak to both fire and ground. I guess we could put Excadrill. If it uses any... Oh, it does have Solar Beam. Well, whatever. Okay, not too shabby. Whew. Okay. I'm pretty sure if you talk to it from the water, it'll it'll be a different field. Okay, goodbye. I think it has a Hammer Arm, Solar Beam, Lava Plume, and Fire Blast. Alright, we can put Tapu Lele. Change the terrain again, why not? Probably weakens some of its move, maybe, I don't know. Okay. Oh, its eye is still red. Ouch. That's cool. Oh my goodness. I hope I don't run out of Pokeballs. That would be tragic. I don't have any status moves. Oh, nice. See, if I have a full team, that Kyogre would have been... I would have been done in like a couple of minutes. Alright. Cool. Alright. Once you do that, I managed to save. It seems like Julia's coming down. Alright, so let's get ready for that. Alright, so yeah, we need to head back down. It's a bit unintuitive. The last time I did this for my first playthrough, I didn't know you had to come back down here to speak to them, so I couldn't actually continue the game. We're gonna accept this request because we have literally nothing else to do here. Okay, and with that, we are finally done with this quest regarding Rayquaza, Kyogre, and Groudon, and we even have the blue and red orbs for them as well, because they were holding on to them. So yeah, those two are some of the strongest Pokemon in the entire, series, even up until this point, like we're, about to get Gen 10 soon. So yeah, wow. In terms of my own thoughts on this quest, actually the most awful thing in existence. Like, I just can't. It just took so long to do this, on top of trying to catch Kyogre too. Alright, but here they are. Here they are. Skip the IVs, why not? Special attack, HP. Okay, not great in speed or defense, but that's whatever. And then Groudon. Speed, attack, defense. Okay, don't care about special attack. Special defense is great, and so is HP. Or not great, those two. Not the best natures either. Oh, neutral nature. Yeah, not a great nature for you. Alright. My PC's kind of a mess now. I definitely don't want to use the Tapus anymore just because it's a bit cheaty. It's a bit cheatsy, I had to do it because this quest is one of the hardest in the entire game. But we do get some really great rewards that I won't be using. But, if you can incorporate these onto your teams, I definitely recommend you do so. Of course, we have a huge array of, really good Pokemon, right? We have these two, we have the Creation Trio, we have Deoxys, Genesect, even Heatran, the Lotties, Diancie. I don't know if we had the Diancite actually. It's not that good of a Pokemon though, because of its weakness, but And then we have a bunch of these other Pokemon. Magearna with Soulheart, and so forth and so on. Alright. Well, I have a lot of editing to do, and also prep for the next episode. I think progress, actually I don't want to bite off more than I can chew, but hopefully progress on the next episode won't take as long because I was just struggling to do this quest. Okay, let's see. We still have some dialogue here, so we'll have to go around and find that. So, let me go ahead and talk to... Let's go with Amaria here. Okay, and with that, I've shown all the dialogue, so pretty cool. This is it for the quest. I am very curious as to what strategies you all would use outside of extreme cheese. Even then, I slightly cheesed the fight, but not really. It was still really tough. I barely won, right? My guard bar was 1 HP. I definitely think there's better strategies for this. I couldn't find any myself online that wasn't like super giga cheese with like spamming healing items, right? I can't use healing items. I did have, terrain set up, but even then that's not, super reliable. Trick Room, well, could be usable, but you do have to remember there were some slow Pokemon on Amaria and Kyogre's team. So you also have to take into account which fight you're going to get as well. The water surface, like I said, is just impossible, so yeah. But anyway, I barely won. It does have a bit of RNG in my strat too, which is unfortunate. I was really hoping to have to avoid that as well, but hey, it's something to have to take into account with my strategy, so there's definitely better ones out there. So I'm really tired. I still have to edit this video, so I will see you all later. Thank you for watching.